Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Friday, February 27th, 2026. Trading trends, it's month end. Let's get into it. Some stuff really broke down today. Let's check it out. I got stopped out of iClean. We'll take a look where solar really got hit today. We'll be looking TAN and some other moves. The turtle portfolio now is just about pretty good split between Brazil and South Korea. Some big moves today. Let's take a look. You should be sharing the screen. All right, let's do it. Today, regional banks, no good. Really not a great day for regional banks. We'll take a look at the financials in general. Lots of things going on. We'll take a look. Solar, like we just mentioned, and airlines look ugly. We looked at that chart a couple of days ago. Today, they crashed, no pun intended, while healthcare, Hong Kong, and volatility all found a bid. Those areas look good today. Healthcare in Hong Kong, and of course, like vol was up. And new all-time highs. We'll take a look at the price action in energy, new all-time highs, utilities, emerging markets, developed markets, and IFA. Gold miners, we got into the gold miner juniors, GDXJ. Very excited about that. We got in this morning on the 1 month breakout. SPLV, new all-time highs in low vol stocks, and also Canada, new all-time highs. And really, when we step back at this week, what was SPY lost about 1%, 80 bips to be exact. But where were the actual really big moves from Monday to Friday? A big pop in silver, 10% this whole week, average of 2 a day. We'll see if that trend is strengthening or weakening. Like I said, the metals, I said since Super Bowl week, the metals look like they're perking up. Silver, the best performing ETF this week, and 7% declines, not good in solar and regional banks. Those were the losers this week. If you were long, I was long iClean, which is highly correlated with TAN, which was the one that led to the downside. And regional banks, not good, especially today. All right, we will take a look, like I said, all the price action, the charts for that. Let us to the dashboard panel this Friday, as we will end the program as well with the best year-over-year trades that really help provide a lot of insight and through the tumult and all the volatility that's been going on this year and beyond. NVIDIA, they continue. So we talked about this on Wednesday night. No Salama, I said this is either going, if it beats Wall Street expectations, is going to about 202. And then I said, but if they don't like it and they're not happy with the guide or any kind of announcements from Huang, they're going to send it close to 189. And literally after the announcement, it went to 202. And then they sold it off, and then it went to 189. And today it lost another 4%, down to 177. Also, I got stopped out of the SMH. That one was a no good, an absolute false breakout going into it, if you recall. So we'll take a look. But NVIDIA up 4%. Netflix up a massive 14% on the merger with their buyout of Warner Brothers. Tesla down 1.5%. Microsoft down an ugly 2.5%. That stock down 19% year to date in 2026. Small caps got hammered today, down 1.7. Gold, a beautiful pop, as we talked about earlier, up 1.3 in that GDXJ, which is your number 3 leader year over year. That is an Olympian. Amazon, they like today, up 1%. Apple up down an ugly 3%. That thing not getting any love. Silver up a big 5.5% today. That's up a third of value in just 2026 alone. Google up 1.5%, Dell up a monster 22% after earnings, AI demand, and all that good stuff. Things up 35% year over year. AMD down almost 2%, and Meta down 1.33%. As I zoom out here and I look at the intraday tape for right now, okay, so here was the open. It was an ugly night. If you recall, Jack Dorsey made an announcement that for block earnings that he's letting go 40% of the company because AI can. And futures didn't really trade too well with that. Folks getting a little bit concerned about consumer discretionary for pretty much all income classes, but definitely white collar workers. And you see the futures going here lower. We bottom at 9:30 a.m. And what do? They buy them right from then and there. And then we started having a little bit of a tug of war fight here from noon all the way till 2:30 p.m. And then we saw a very nice surge of buying, what we always call the power hour, the institutional money that have to get client orders filled by close. You saw a big buy right there at 3 to 3:30 to 4 o'clock, where we closed above VWAP, still down 0.5% on the day, but a decent close in terms of a recovery from the depths where we were at noon at 682, and we ended up closing 685 above a 685 VWAP. As I zoom out here and I go to the 1 year chart, See that? Yes, we still see a long consolidation range. I was writing today in my final market mosaic piece. I hope you enjoyed those. That the S&P really is being, it's not really acting like an index right now due to the correlation within it. It's not really acting like a bunch of names instead of one cohesive unit. It really is, and that's why it's range bound like this. Qs have a little bit more heavy weight of overhead due to the significant software exposure. SPY is still in the doldrums and the weighing being down as well from Apple and a lot of the underperformance that we're seeing. All that being said, so I still say what we said, I think, on the Wednesday video. The price action here, we are still going to be tethered to right around 688 plus or minus 1%. You saw what happened today. Not a great looking candle, but here we close around 685 half. I still see, as far as I can tell here, about within 1 to 2 weeks, the price action looks like to me, the trajectory is, should we rise and close above 698, which was the prior all-time highs, I do believe we will head to 705 in the first 2 weeks of March. So you need that thrust, and then you'll get that FOMO. I see it corresponding with a nice incline here of at least minimum holding the 50 RSI. Need to see buyers in control, and then that 21-day EMA should rise higher, and that 200-day should pick up slope, and that should create a FOMO environment for investors. And I do think it looks like happening. But we will have to take a look. NVIDIA said everything and then some, and they still sold the stock off. So when you're priced to perfection, it is hard to break out. I need to see that hold above 698, which is the prior high. And then I do think we'll pick up we'll garner another % or so to new all-time highs in the first half of March. Act accordingly. Okay, so let us get into here. Big moves of the day. There were a ton. It was super defensive, super defensive. As you know, Russell closed down nearly 2% today. Vol up about 5%. We'll look at that, or 4% rather, through VXX. But they did love healthcare, which is, of course, defensive. AI somewhat proof as well. If you're going to have surgery, you probably don't want the bot to do it just yet. So this didn't take the block news quite on the chin like some other industries. XLV, all things considered, peaked here on January 7th at around 160 half. It is knocking on the door. A beautiful candle. This has been a place for investor dollars, honestly. I could see here with a 42 RSI hold going back. I mean, it just lets to say it hasn't been oversold since April of last year. Great looking chart and really a nice thrust here once it broke out from that former area, like we always say, and it registers a overbought RSI, boom, off into the races. That was approximately 149 early November, and it took you to all-time highs, as I said, at 160 half, and now it's knocking on the door. Is healthcare up 2% today? That's a multiple standard deviation move in a bad tape. I think here, I mean, the price action, like I said, it looks to me, I have about a 161 full target for this in the coming days. I think it's going to do it soon. This was a beautiful run that really began 12 here, right around here with this candle. Once they put in this hammer on February 11th, and VWAP that day was 156. I mean, it's only a $4 move, but it really, the low that day was 154, and it really stuck it in there. The buyer stepped in, and it hasn't been that low since. I do have a 161 target on this coming very shortly. I think in the next 3 sessions, it'll go through here, and then I think it'll stop because I think the rest of the market will get participation, and then they'll let their foot off the gas, such a defensive asset like this one. But healthcare looks absolutely great, very close to new all-time highs. Number 2, Hong Kong. New 52-week highs for this group. Beautiful chart, super rising 200-day moving average. Right here was where this breakout happened against the former area 18.5 with a overbought registration. May 9th is the date of the breakout here at 18.30, and boom, all the way here to $24. A little bit of, and we're not at 68 RSI, but don't forget also the all-time highs for this goes back to the crazy COVID days of May 2021, the $28. So still $4 away from all-time highs is Hong Kong. I love the kelp trade. So in terms of tactical placement here, in terms of EWH and opportunity, I mean, I think 24 half is truly my full target. So it's about another 30 cents. So you got about another % or so of upside. Again, this move started with this hammer here on the 13th when it hit a low of 23.05, VWAP on that day at 23.15, and you ran up from there about $1.05. So Hong Kong, again, looks good into the early days of next week, as does healthcare. And then volatility, a big pop today, up 4% is vol, 4.25% close. Those were the three things that were up today: healthcare, Hong Kong, and volatility. Yeah, I'm not totally surprised, especially after the block news and what it could mean for the labor market, etc. For this to pick up. It was strong pretty much all day. I expect this one due to the elevated environment about what AIs can disrupt and just overall fear, and the credit spreads and the bond market is giving a few warning signs. I do expect this to hold ground around 28 for VXX. Overall, though, as I am forecasting, or what looks like to me in the price action, S&P new all-time highs, after it gives way, similar to what we need to see S&P close above 698, the prior highs, and I see another percent upside, I need to see VXX here go close under 26. And then after that, I do think it goes towards 24. Don't forget the low here for VXX, all-time low is January 9th at right around 25.5 bucks. So, said what I said. All right, the losers, they absolutely hammered these markets today. I'm talking about you, regional banks down 5%. Very ugly. Don't forget, this group peaked just very, very recently, February 9th at $74. It came up in the turtles, but it didn't really exactly fit the portfolio. Overall, I think this was base around here. I'm actually a little bit surprised at how ugly the candle was. Don't forget, they dropped this all the way to 66.16. They took it off the mat by about 50 cents or inside of 1%. VWAP, that was 67.54, and they had no interest holding that. My floor for this is around $66. I don't think it'll test the 200 moving average like it did Thanksgiving week, but this RSI is ugly. They are, selling first, not quite technically. That happens under 30, where you really throw the baby out with the bathwater and you sell first and you ask questions later. But I give the benefit of the doubt to this. This group has, it has scary moments and then it resolves higher almost always. I still like the relative strength versus SPY since December, all things considered. And I think it will resolve itself higher. Look for it to base around 66, and that'll be your invitation. And then I do expect it to kind of leapfrog to 70, especially if the market goes to all-time highs. SPY, they will want to gather up beta, and I think this group will not look as bad. And then ultimately, it's not going to be a straight line, but I do have a $75 target on this, which is $9 away. So a big move. But again, right now, ugly move for regional banks, but that is what it's saying. Wait for it to stabilize. Once it closes above 30, I do think it'll be headed higher. But let this time, let it settle. Solar today, I got stopped out of iClean, took a small loss on that, and that's why you pyramid in turtle style. You start with your initial chips. You see if it moves in your favor, then you double down essentially. And then if you get stopped out, you get stopped out with your smallest size that's possible. So that's why it works, and that's why it is really just an incredible system. I challenge you to read Michael Koval's Turtle Trading that illustrates it all. Okay, so here's solar. Overall, a good chart. Look at this. I mean, it peaked, almost similar to what I was talking about regional banks. This peaked just 9 short days ago at $61. Beautiful rising 200 moving average, but the RSI is crashing here to 44, which matches its Thanksgiving week low here, where it touched its lower Bollinger Band. The price action looks very similar, honestly. If you did an overlay here from November 10th through November 21st, it almost looks exactly the same, the 18th through the 27th, this give back, and then this give back from this measurement and that. So it's very interesting. I think it has potentially a little bit more to go. I see this potentially touching $52 to $53. I don't think they're done. I kind of like how that worked. History doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes, and I think this wants to tag a little bit lower. And I think it's going to visit a 53 handle. Then honestly, I do think it's an invitation. This thing has awesome relative strength, kicking spies, but since the end of summer, an overall choppy money flow, but overall positive net since April of last year. So I like it. Wait for also, like I said, the dust to settle. Should happen in about 1 week or so. I think it tags at 53 handle. And then, as I said, it'll probably have to hold in terms of buying into strength, that 58 level. And then I do have a $62 target on it. Woo! All right. And then number 3, they're hammering today. There's a lot of weakness, and these were the 3 biggest losers. The airlines down 4%. You can look at the individuals. Some were down far more than this. Oil did spike up 3%. on and a pick a war or whatever. But right here, the Jets not looking so good after short-term top. Just a couple of what was this? February 11th. So just 16 days ago, down 4% today. Very similar to what we just said about TAN. Give this a little bit room, dust to settle. This looks like it may want to touch $27 and equate basically the floor that it had at the end of January and corresponding with the highs of December once we had that breakout above this $27 level upon this registration of overbought. So typically stocks have memories. It is an important level. The Rising 200-day moving average is 25.75. We're under 50 RSI here. Give this time. I'd rather buy into strength as always, and I want to see this close above 29.30. And then after, which is a 21-day exponential moving average. And then after that, I do think it goes to $31. Overall, a strong group. But again, when you're concerned about banks are down, you're concerned about consumer discretionary spending, I don't think you're thinking that too many people are flying to Asia, Europe, and all that kind of things. And this group isn't going to be helped with a geopolitical event like a 3% pop in oil. So they hammered that to Dizzle. Top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. Let's get into it. Silva, number 1 in your hearts and in the ETF books this week, up 10.5% on an average of 2% a day. Today, up 5.5%. That is what I call getting strength. A beautiful floor here at 66. We said you had a messy W pattern here, a beautiful candle yesterday. And now you see even the miners and some of the more risk-on stuff within the metals, like some of the different units, securities here, breaking to new 1-month high. So beautiful looking candle. By the way, the high today was 85.27, VWAP 83.66, happily closed above VWAP, and just a smidge off of the highs of the day. So this one doesn't look over to me come Monday. In terms of the level, I mean, I started Monday's article with SLV to 100, and I still kind of hold that to that. I think maybe just a little bit lower. I will revise my target just a touch lower to about 95. Just so I see it still has great momentum, but I do see it just. I want to be a believer, and it can very well touch 100. I mean, now we're just splitting hairs, but I think it has it looks like it's another $10 to go, possibly that tag of 100. But I do think 95 is in the cards. We'll see how it trades early next week, but it's had a monster week. Best ETF in all the land, up an average of 2% a day, much of it coming today. Number 2, happy to be in this group. Anyang one more time. South Korea, the number 2 best performer in ETF land, mostly Samsung and Hynix, which is really hard to buy through ADR. So a lot of people are buying South Korea EWY, the ETF, monster volume. Look at this candle here. That is ridiculous. 42 million shares, typically, sign of a high right there short term. It seems like everyone that wanted to get in is in. This is just stair step and nosebleed territory. I'm hearing Samsung and Hynix are possibly doubling their prices for next year. I don't know how they're able to do that, but just because they're so sold out, they're trying to sift through customers. I'm not even sure how true that is. If there's true to an extent, this is why this elevation is going in high velocity. My target for this short term has been, and I am long as the turtles have gotten me in with the ATR stop, respecting this actual amazing breakout that's been overbought since January 5th. So this is, again, trying to get, what example should I use today? This is like getting Metallica to play your basement. Okay, so this is very well bid. Long line of buyers that would want to have this this suit. Flows are absolutely stupendous. I'm talking about money flow, relative strength versus SPY. It just looks absolutely great. My target, as I said, is around 147. So this is extended. I am not shocked at all in the next 2 to 3 weeks should this drop to 133. They dropped it to 146 yesterday. Be careful. And again, that's why we use ATR stops. And for you home gamers, right here, it's 460. So about $9 you can get in at 151. If it goes to 142, get out. It's probably headed $10 lower to 133. There's been a short-term trend change. More than noise. All right, and then number 3, best performer of the week, ARKG. They bought some of these biotechs, Kathy Wood's basket to be specific. January 22nd is when this group peaked at 34.40. And a beautiful, nice hold here. Had some scary moments in early February. Nice rising 200-day moving average, has reclaimed 50 RSI for much of this week.
Market data connection loss.
It's up 3.5%. Hey, Interactive Brokers. It's up 3.5%.
Multi-data connection reestablished.
Thank you for reestablishing. I don't know if you can hear that. But I think this is heading into important resistance here at the 30 level, to be honest. The price action to me looks like this rally began here at the lows once it tested that 27.5 and used all that energy to get to 30 just to kind of save face and hold this 200-day moving average. And that's all well and good. But I do expect it to take a break here right around this 29.5 to 30 level. And I'm not really shocked if this goes back south over the next 2 to 3 weeks. I think this wants to consolidate and distribute down to about not the 200-day moving average, because I like the higher lows here, possibly just 28.75, but I wouldn't be gobbling this one up here. It looks like they're getting less excited. But it is the third best performer this week, up 3.5% in a week where SPY lost 80 bips. Top 3 losers the past 5 days. If we already repeated it, not going to kill a dead horse or kick a dead horse on this. Tan, your worst of the whole week. A lot of it was the pull down today, but this was the worst performer in the entire week was solar, down 8.2%. And it's crazy because of the positioning right here, absolute false breakout. You had right there, similar to what we just saw with the other index as well, high price of 61 here, but the RSI only got to 66.5. Don't like to see that. From false moves come fast moves. Right then and there, I could say, whoa, we're trading 61. I could immediately see, due to that price action collapse in the breath, I can see a move drop down to the 21-day exponential to 57, and boom, markets usually go further and faster than you expect. It goes to 55 instead. So that's just a little bit more on tan. Like I said, I got stopped out. iClean very correlated to this. Number 2, and we already talked about this. This was the biggest loser today. It's the second biggest loser on the week. I'm looking at you, regional banks. We already talked about it, down 7% on the week. And then lastly, the third whipping boy that they really not like this week was KWEB, or Chinese internet, down 5%. This looks horrendous. It is oversold. We are back at 10-month lows here after a peak in early October. This thing is looking, why I say steeply under the 200-day moving average, is now the 200-day moving average starting to go down by about 2 pennies a day. This overhead is getting cemented here at 36.70, a price it has not visited since mid-January. This had come up in the shorts for the turtles, actually, on a 1-month breakdown, and I stuck with, due to the capital usage and how you're best deploying money in existing positions versus opening new ones, I stuck my heels into the Ethereum short, and it's worked out incredibly, as that was a false dead cat bounce on that. So right here, 23 RSI on KWEB. I just think they got to stick the floor somewhere soon. There is some support at 30, but this thing looks ugly here. I expect ugly range-bound behavior of a dead cat bounce to 33. But this is ugly. Chinese internet stocks. Be very, very selective, because overall they are going down very, very much. All right, top 3 trades of the past 5 days. If long silver, short tan or solar, and short regional banks, congratulations. You absolutely smoked this market. And now my favorite part of the segment, what I try and anchor the turtles portfolio around, as it has the most durable momentum, of course, in a risk-adjusted vol manner. Number 1, year-over-year SILJ. This is the junior silver miners, up 277% year-over-year. You see microcosm, essentially, of what the silver chart looked like, right? A sloppy W, but it started breaking out. As I said before, some of the correlated metal plays were very close to breaking out to new highs. This one on the door here, it's 41.10 back from January 26th. They got it to 40.28 today, and it closed essentially at high of day. The RSI has gone straight through. This was absolutely a false breakdown. That 4.5% give back on February 17th, that was an absolutely great signal to buy there, because that was a false breakdown here, and then it held the floor at $32, and boom, what a huge move. 32 to 40, that is an absolute monster move. The only reason why I got into GDXJ instead of SILJ is because it is N-sized positions, meaning it is done by ATR, and I wanted to be aggressive in terms of capital, so I wanted to be more dollars allocated. Hence, GDXJ got more of the actual dollars, because SILJ has such a massive ATR, 2 to be in fact, on a $40 stock, which means on average it moves 5% every day. GDXJ has a much smoother equity curve, which it deserves more of the dollars. But strictly for you momentum players, this is the GOAT, up 277 year over year. My target is around 41. I do foresee new highs for this one next week. Also, just one red day for this puppy, going back to February 13th. So this thing has begun. The metals absolutely go usually higher and faster than you expect. That is number one. Number two, I don't want to make this the metals show, but they've absolutely dominated the past year, and I'm very happy to be in this one. The chart on your screen right here, this is the Junior Gold Miners ETF. I'm very close to pyramiding. I got in below VWAP today, thankfully, this morning. And as you can see there, that is a new 52-week high on the gold miner juniors. Similar pattern in terms of just one red day since February 13th. You know what's going to happen. A breakout from a former area. 151 had been resistance. If this starts to get overbought and it looks like volume's picking up and folks are liking it, my target had been 157. But like I said, this thing usually goes faster and further. No one's selling this kind of stuff. It could go to 160, maybe 162, but be known, my target is 156. My pyramid level is 157. I am excited for it. Let the games begin. This is number 2 year over year. And the number 3, I'm happy to be in this one as well. And this is how Turtles really is a phenomenal system. EWI up 170%. So those are the year over year winners. SILJ up 277%. GDXJ up 227% year over year and hitting 52-week highs today. That is confirming momentum today. That is how you know it's not a flash in the pan. That's not quantum stocks recouping 40% losses. These are hitting stride today. They're Shea Gilgeous-Alexander back from injury today. They're winning. You want to be long. EWI, we already talked about this one before. Overbought since for all of 2026. What can you say? They might be doubling prices, up 170%. Don't be shocked if this has to get back to 133. I will be out. I already gave you the stop levels before, around $9. This is the market for the past year. It's metals and it's South Korea. And then while I have it, let me see here, what else would it even be after those? I'll give you a live look. There is some Europe, but if we're going in order, it's very metals correlated, and it's really, really cemented. It's copper miners, uranium starts to get an honorable mention here, up 100%. Metals and mining, more correlated into precious metals. Gold itself, up 82. Defense tech, 78%. Every time you read these kind of geopolitical war headlines. SMH up 78%, but with waning confirmation in terms of how NVIDIA has been trading. And those have really been the themes of the year. Act accordingly. Have an awesome weekend. It's supposed to be 60 degrees, I think, tomorrow. I can't wait.